Now let's go to the deep veins. So in this coronal section, I just tried to tell you the deep structure. So what do you mean by deep? Now see, this portion is midbrain. Why? Because you see basilar vein here, and I told basilar vein goes laterally to the midbrain, so you can easily appreciate. Now you see that above the midbrain you can see this structure. This is our lentiform nucleus, our thalamus, our caudate nucleus. Okay, so these structures, so all these main structures are going to be drained by these basilar veins, basal veins, and internal cerebral veins. Again, I told you the internal cerebral veins is the deep vein. Okay, and a branch of internal cerebral vein is known as a thalamostriate vein, which are going to drain this. The important thing you have to know that if in this coronal section, if I make this level and this level, so remember the inferior are going to be drained by basal veins, but the superior are going to be drained by internal cerebral veins. Okay, I hope it's okay. Now let's move forward. You see, again we are returned to this base of the skull. So let's revise is a good thing. So you guys know that here we get one sinus, from here we get one sinus, and this is known as what? Sphenoparietal sinus. Here you can see our cavernous sinus. Here you can see anterior, posterior, intercavernous sinuses. Here you can see our basilar plexus. Again, this is our superior petrosal sinus, superior petrosal sinus, inferior petrosal sinus, inferior petrosal sinus. Here is our sigmoidal sinus, and it's going downward to our internal jugular vein. What I want to focus you here is that the cavernous sinus actually drain a part which is actually not a part of the brain. Okay, so focus here. So this vein is actually known as ophthalmic vein. So this vein is our ophthalmic vein, and this ophthalmic vein has two branches. One is superiorly, one is inferiorly. So we will say the superior ophthalmic vein and inferior ophthalmic vein. Okay, so remember this point. Now, yes, now we are going to focus on the cerebellum, the venous drainage of cerebellum. So we are going to do in a very sequential manner. So let's focus what we know. We know that here we have one vein which is known as great cerebral vein or vein of Galen, and if I extend this one, I don't think I will do something wrong, and if I do like this, it will be more accurate, because we know that great cerebral vein and inferior sagittal sinus comes and drain into what? This straight sinus, right? Yes, this straight sinus. Again, this is the confluence of the sinus. I told about you, this is the junction point, and you know it's going to travel like this, and it will be our transverse sinus. Done. And you know, after transverse sinus, normally we found this sigmoid sinus going downward. So here you can see sigmoid sinus. Now you see there is one anastomosis. I shouldn't say it's like anastomosis is a connection. This one and this one, which you guys already know. This is our superior petrosal sinus. So you guys know this structure all very good. Now you have to understand this structure, how I am seeing it, like anteriorly or posteriorly, which side. So like if this is our head, so like how I'm seeing, like from this direction or from this direction or this. So you have to understand this point. So see here. Here you can see this part, this forepart. These are all what? These are, I already discussed these things in my previous neuroanatomy lecture. So these two are known as superior and those two are inferior colliculus, and located where? Yes, midbrain. These are located where? Midbrain. So, and midbrain where? Posteriorly. So we are seeing in this direction. Focus here, in this direction, from our back. Okay, now see, now let's focus on the drainage. So focus on the great cerebral vein. From the great cerebral vein you will find this vein, and this vein is known as superior vein of vermis. And I don't think I have to tell you this structure. This structure, or the junction point between left and right cerebellum, is known as vermis. Okay, now let's come to the superior petrosal sinus. So here you can see one vein here and another vein here. It's draining our cerebellum, and this is known as our petrosal vein. Okay, we are done. Now we are left with one. What? Transverse sinus. Focus first here. You can see one vein, this one, another vein, this one. So in the left side and in the right side, you can see two veins, but these two veins are in superficial or superior, right? So definitely these veins are what? These veins are superior cerebellar veins. But you see, this is located laterally, this is medially, this is medially, this is laterally. That's why we say lateral superior cerebral veins and medial superior cerebellar veins. Just think this vermis as a midline. Now focus here. Here you can see one vein, and here in the other side you can see one vein, which is located in the inferior to the cerebellum. And in each side you can find two veins. So again, focus here. If this is lateral and if this is medially located, so you can say this is lateral inferior cerebellar veins, and this will be our medial inferior cerebellar veins. So I hope I make it as easy as possible. Okay. Now focus in this section. So again, you have to find out which way you are looking. Sorry, this. Okay, brain. You just cut your brain like this, and you are seeing from the top. Okay, because focus on the cerebellum, you can easily say, okay, this is a superior view. Again, you see this vermis very easily. Okay, so come. So which structure we know till now? So this is our straight sinus, no doubt. This is our confluence of the sinuses. This is our transverse sinus. Again, here we'll find our transverse sinus. Okay, if this is our straight sinus, if this is our great cerebral veins, then we can draw an imaginary line like this, and we can say, okay, here has to be one sinus, our inferior sagittal sinus, and we are done. So what is new to us? Okay, so focus here. I already discussed about the great cerebral veins has one branch from here, another branch from here, and this is known as basal vein. And you can see, not only that, it has another one branch like this, another one drainage point like this, and this is known as what? This is our internal cerebral veins. Okay, so again, always remember, internal cerebral vein and basal vein comes together and form our great cerebral vein. Okay, now when I say this one, now focus here, it is the deep structure. Okay, and it is an, okay, now see, in the previously I told you, let's go a little bit of back, and in this structure I say that this internal cerebral vein is going like this, right? So we can say that this vein and this vein, if you see about the relative position, so basal vein is inferior and our internal cerebral vein is superior, right? So is in this level, whatever structure you can see, or to be more specific, at the level, so this is our thalamus. Okay, so at the level of thalamus, whatever structure you see, our internal cerebral vein will drain those parts. Now I told you guys already in my previous lectures, this sequence, if this is thalamus, you know, in between this thalamus we have the third ventricle, then we have this structure which is our internal capsule, then we have this structure which is known as lentiform nucleus, then we have external capsule, then we have this insula, right? And here in the lentiform, nucleus, we will find the caudate nucleus, and you can easily appreciate here you will find the lateral ventricles. Yes. So the branches will be what? So here, see here, caudate nucleus, supplying the caudate nucleus. So supplying the thalamus. Okay, and you guys already know in the ventricle there is what? Choroid plexus. So there should be a choroidal veins. Yes. So see here, there is a choroidal veins. So there is a different way to memorize these veins. As I'm teaching you guys, just remember this way. It will be very easy for you to mug up these informations. Okay. Now let's focus in this diagram. So in this diagram, so what is this diagram? This is definitely a lateral view. Lateral view. Let's say this is boom, 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 boom. Okay. So you just cut it in this plane. Okay, and seeing laterally. So what I want to focus in you guys that we have two structures here. One is cerebellum, and one is pons. And you know these two structures are supplied by what? So we have two main veins. One is our basal veins, basilar veins, and internal cerebral vein, right? So now let's focus how these two are anastomosing, or how these two veins are supplying. So here you can find our superior sagittal sinus. This is our straight sinus, confluence of the sinus. Here you can appreciate the transverse sinus. Here you see the occipital sinus. Okay, you guys already know this. So this is our inferior sagittal sinus. Okay, this is you already know. This is our great cerebral vein, or vein of Galen. Okay, now focus to the main point. First, I'm going to discuss about this vein. So this is what vein? Say. So this vein is our basal vein, or vein of Rosenthal. Okay, now you guys can easily appreciate it is supplying this whole structure, and this is what? Our midbrain. So whatever structure present in the midbrain is supplied by what? Yes, basal vein. Okay, now you see, and the superior part of the pons. Now, so if you see these branches, right? So these branches, so it will be the superior part of the pons. Now focus here. You will be amazed by seeing this. Okay, so anterior to the midbrain, you can see one long vein is coming, and this vein is supplying the anterior part of the pons. You can say anterior part of the medulla oblongata. So if this is pons, if this is medulla oblongata, it's draining those part, right? Now see, and it's at the end, it is you can say fusing with our anterior spinal vein. So remember, the midbrain has a connection between the our spinal veins. Okay, so it is as a continuation of the anterior spinal veins. Now, if you are done with this one, now let's focus to our internal cerebral veins. Now see, if this is internal cerebral vein, and the internal cerebral vein is doing nothing, it's just moving forward like this. Okay, it's doing nothing with cerebellum and midbrain. It's just going to the deep part. Now see, as you guys know, that sometime maybe from the internal cerebral vein, or sometime we can say from the great cerebral vein, there is this branch, and this branch is known as superior cerebral vein. Okay, now see, the superior cerebral vein has a continuation like this to the pons. Okay, to the pons like this. So you can say, okay, the lateral part of the pons is supplied by our vein, which is a part of what? Which is a part of our, focus here, great cerebral vein, or vein of Galen. So this vein is very important, right? So here you see lateral pontine veins. Now you see it has a whole connection. It has a whole connection like this, and at the end it's going downward like this, and it is again has a continuation of posterior spinal veins. So you guys have to remember this one. Okay, anterior spinal vein and posterior spinal vein has a connection with this veins, and it has a continuation with medulla oblongata. You can say it's covering the organ of this brainstem, not only medulla oblongata, this whole brainstem, this cerebellum. Yes, and the main branch, you will say, yes, great cerebral vein, and the basal vein. So it's like, think about it, it's a base, basal vein. So yeah, this is for now. Now see, when we talk about specifically the veins of the brain, now see here. So first, try to focus which structure we know. So before that, let's see, we can identify it as anterior posterior what structure. Yes, this is an anterior structure. How? See here. Here you can see pons is swollen, pregnant. And here you can see pyramids, this swelling, olive, this swelling. Okay. So from these things, and definitely you cannot forward this optic chiasma. From these structures, you guys can easily appreciate this is an anterior view. Now, which structure we you can guess? So let's have a back calculation. So you know this structure and this structure. This is our anterior cerebral vein. Okay, cool. So if this is our anterior cerebral vein and laterally we are getting one another vein, this is our deep middle cerebral vein. Okay, now you see, okay, this is what? This is our basilar vein. So this is our basal vein, right? So this is how you can back calculate, you know, with a back calculation. If you don't know, just start from one vein and you will end up with the real thing. So you see from the basilar vein, one vein is coming like this, another vein is coming like this, fusing and going downward like this. So this branches is known as, the initial branches is known as what? Interpeduncular vein. Okay, so interpeduncular vein are fusing at this level. So if it is pons, so it will be what? Midbrain. So in the junction between the pons and midbrain, it is fusing and forming what? Pontomesencephalic vein. Pons means pons, mesencephalic means midbrain, and brain. Okay, now you see this vein is running in the midbrain, and this is known as what? Anteromedian pontine vein. Antero because this is anterior view. Vein is running medially and it is in the pons. Yes, this is how it's named. And if you see this continuation, and you guys already know, and this continuation will be named as what? Anterior spinal vein, right? Okay, if you're comfortable with this, let's again back calculation. So you guys know this vein is what? Superior vermine vein. So this is a vermis, you know, of the cerebellum. So it was from where? Yes, it was from where? Great cerebral vein, right? So again, if you see this vein, and it is what? Yes, it is known as superior cerebral vein. So you guys can say this is our which vein then? It should be, yes, cerebral. So now you can say these veins are having anastomosis like this. Just remember this point, and this anastomosis here we'll find an anastomose. It's like a web, and this particular vein is known as anterolateral pontine vein, and here we can see this anastomosis, and these are known as transverse pontine vein. So just remember for which vein is supplying or draining, to be more specific, draining. So first vein is our basal vein, okay, and great cerebral vein. That's all you have to remember. Again, if you see the posterior view, in the posterior view, again you can see how I'm going to say posterior, because here you can see one colliculus, one colliculus, one colliculus, one colliculus, like, yes. And here is the one cut point of cerebellum. So this is cut point of cerebellum, you know, vermis, and again cerebellum. Yes, so this is in posterior view. Now you see, again I told you the great cerebral veins, no doubt about that. Again we have different branches of the great cerebral vein. Normally we say, okay, so see here, so great cerebral vein, it has a branches of superior cerebral vein. So you guys already know. So why I show this picture, I don't want you to mug up all things. I just want you to know the main veins. Okay, the main veins, because it's a complex thing, but you have to know the main veins. And again you see the basal vein. So again, two veins, great cerebral veins, basal veins, are draining what? Yes, our brainstem. And it has a continuation with what? Again, inferiorly I told you anterior and posterior spinal vein. Yes, that is the most important thing you have to remember. So in this diagram, I just want you guys to focus. This is an overview of whatever structure you just learned. So see here, this deep blue color is the superficial vein, and the light blue color are the deep veins, But in this section, I want you guys to focus on some important anastomosis. So, the superficially, I think you guys are comfortable with this structure. Yes, this is what our superficial middle cerebral vein. And I think you guys are comfortable with this structure, which is our what? Sphenoparietal sinus. Okay, so focus. So this true structure, and this structure has an anastomosis. Yes, this is the first point I want you guys to remember. Okay. Now, in our second part, I want you guys to focus here. I told you guys about this plexus. So this is our basilar plexus, right? And see, in this basilar plexus, you guys already know it's gonna drain by two veins. So see from here, like this and like this. So again, so let's redraw this and say it. So again, so you guys know what is the cavernous sinus? You guys know the cavernous sinus is drained by what? Superior and inferior petrosal sinus. Okay. Now just focus here. This ring. Here you can see a ring. And just focus on the points. So one, you can see this structure, basilar plexus. Another point you can see here, which is occipital sinus. Okay, basilar plexus and occipital sinus. So you can say one circle, there is one venous circle. One venous circle in between these 2 points, which is known as this marginal sinus. Okay, so again, if somebody says what is marginal sinus, you guys can easily say, okay, it's a circle in between these two sinuses. One sinus, another one is plexus. And you guys can easily say it has a connection with our sigmoidal sinus, which has a connection of sigmoidal sinus. So this is a marginal sinus is a circle. Okay, so I hope you guys are clear with this. Now we are again to our main point. When I say you guys that, so focus here. So this is what? This is our accessory drainage pathway of dural sinus. What do you mean by accessory? So till up to now, you guys already know when I say that dural sinus has to come our internal jugular vein. This is normal. So for an instance, if I take an example, if I have a cavernous sinus will drain by what? Superior and inferior petrosal sinus, right? And in the end, it will go to where? Yes, internal jugular vein. Now if I say that dural sinus will first drain into a vein, then it will drain into this internal jugular vein. So this is known as what? Accessory drainage pathway of dural sinus. Okay, now let's take example and then we will have a clear idea. So again, let's come directly to this diagram so you will have a greater visualization. So focus here. I already told you guys that this is our sagittal sinus. Okay, so this is our sagittal sinus, and here we have our scalp veins, right? Now we have emissary veins connecting here. Now if you say this sinus if can drain like this, and in the end it has to drain via internal jugular vein, and it has a special name, parietal emissary vein, because it is in the parietal bone, as well as we have another emissary vein, just for namesake, occipital emissary vein. So majorly we have two, okay, parietal emissary vein and occipital emissary veins. So this is how the drainage can happen. So this is one accessory drainage of the dural sinus. Another, let's focus here. You guys know this is what? This is our cavernous sinus. Now see, you guys already know if this is our what? Ophthalmic vein, and if this is our superior and inferior ophthalmic vein, and you see here has a connection which is known as angular vein. Now you see this angular vein has a very good relation like this. So you say this structure is our facial vein. So via this facial vein, it's going to where? So it's going to our internal jugular vein. Now I hope you guys can easily understand. So this sinus or our cavernous sinus is draining into the internal jugular sinus via a vein. Okay. Again, if you see this structure is known as venous plexus of foramen ovale. Then you see you have another plexus here, which is known as pterygoid plexus, and this pterygoid plexus is draining like this. It has two pathways, by the way. So it is draining like this, and this vein is known as our retromandibular vein, and it can drain into the internal jugular vein or external jugular vein. So this is another example of accessory dural sinus drainage pathway. So we are done for now. I hope these things are making sense to you. If you guys have any questions, just comment down below, and please share, subscribe, and like this video. Thanks for now. Let's meet in our next video.